Hi Mark, thanks for coming to join us on Chatterbox today. We just wanted to bring you in so you could talk about Storebox and your top tips for expansion into new sites and new locations.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks very much for having me. It's been a busy year for Storebox in the past year, and we've got an even busier year coming up as well.
So how did you get into the industry and how did Storebox kind of kick off?
I fell into it, really. And it sounds terrible, but I needed a job to pay my bills. So I ended up working for one of the bigger companies. And I was literally just as a sales consultant. So manning the desk, cleaning the units, selling to customers. And I had a really good manager at the time and a really good area manager who taught me a lot about the industry. I enjoyed it. I'd had a few jobs before, but this, I didn't mind getting up in the morning, going to work. So from there, I did a couple of years with that company. And then I thought the grass was greener. So I moved over to a removals company. But I was sat behind a desk for 9 hours a day. And it wasn't the in and out that I had before with the storage side. So I did a couple of years as a store manager. And then about 7 years ago now with Storebox, a general manager's role came up. At the time, we had 5 sites when I started in 2016. Mm-hmm. So Storebox itself started in around 2010. The founder, he worked for a company in London called Love Space, and the main investors at Love Space, he had an idea for container storage. He went to them to say, this is what we want to do. Do you want to be a part of it? So that's where it evolved from. And that was 2 sites in North London in 2010. And then from there, they purchased one in Cambridge, so it wasn't too far. And then they bought the one in Manchester, in Trafford Park, which is the biggest one we've got at the moment. And then I joined 2016. And then from 2016 to 2022 last year, we went from 5 sites up to 13.
Would you just be able to give us a bit of an update on Storebox, where you're located, how many units are on the ground?
At the minute, we've got around 2,200 units, individual units, 15 sites. We've just acquired our 15th. They're spread right across the country, plus 2 in Dublin as well. And then we've just acquired our first indoor self-storage building, which is in Bolton, which is an indoor building plus 2 yards ready for containers.
So how does Storebox do things differently than other self-storers?
So our ethos was keep it simple. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. At the end of the day, people are going to hate me for this, but it's a box on a piece of land for people to keep the stuff in. So 3 sizes, 3 prices. You can book online. You let yourself into the gate. You can drive straight up to your unit, put your stuff in, and you can drive away. Yeah. So within 30 minutes from start to finish, you can have your stuff all locked up and you're on your way back home.
As you know, location is critical for self-storers. What are your top tips when you're looking to move into a new location?
Up until a year ago, we'd not bought any new sites or leased any new sites since 2017. So this was a resurgence of Storebox. We had investment, we had new shareholders come on board, so they brought on a CEO and he was sort of ready to kick on bringing in new sites. So we have sort of stipulations that we'd like to stick by. We've got a cluster, which is 50-mile radius of Cambridge, a 50-mile radius of Dublin Port, which is basically anywhere inside the M50. And then, like I mentioned before, anywhere from Derby northwards. So we look at the area. Mm-hmm. We look at the demographic of the area. So how many people we've got in 3 kilometres, then how many people we've got in 5 kilometres. Then we look at the competitors. If there's competitors there, generally there's enough footfall to be shared out between everyone. And then if that works, then I'll go and visit the site and I'll do my initial checks, my initial surveys. So the ground, the location, the traffic that's going by, the utilities, the services and stuff like that.
So what are the main challenges? Has there been any common issues when it comes to opening up a new site?
So the first challenge still is, there's no land anywhere.
Yeah.
There's nothing, because everything's getting bought up by developers, building houses and apartments, or redevelopment for housing projects and schools. So we lost a couple of sites last year just because we leased them. So they've been handed back to the original landlords, and they've sold them for millions, basically, for redevelopment.
Is there any kind of top tips that you actually, like, do you have a checklist of the top things that you must hit before actually opening up that site?
It'll probably vary depending on who you speak to. Ideally for me,
Yeah.
square.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to fit more containers in a square plot.
Mm-hmm.
If you get angles and triangles, you sort of squeezing them into the corners. Then it will be curbside, so how close you are to a main road, and access from the main road, and your vision, how many people are going to see you going past in the traffic. And then from there, we go into the demographics part, and then the competitors part as well. If the demographics are right, we find out how many containers we can fit on, how much we can charge per week, going off competitors' prices in the area. And then if that all works, all those numbers going into the business model. And then if it comes out the other end and it says yes, we go a bit further into it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and we move on.
Yeah. How important is marketing when opening up a new site, from signage to social media, any SEO, etc.?
So we cover all bases, really. So the curbside appeal is the main part. So as soon as planning permission's in place, we'll get a banner straight up to say, coming soon, check our socials, check our website for details. And then the initial landing page has already been made on our website. And from there, there'll be links in from our social accounts as well. So it'll just be initial inquiries while we go through the construction and the finishing off of the site. And then once that's done, we'll do a little bit more guerrilla marketing in the area, whether that be local meetings, stands in shopping centres, or letterbox flyers and stuff like that.
Have you noticed in certain locations you'll get more inquiries than others? Like, have you found before opening up a new site, actually, wait a minute, we've got a lot of people interested and we don't have any units down yet?
Yeah, so we started the campaign for Retford pretty early on, probably too early, in all fairness. But as soon as it landed on socials and on the landing page on the website, I think we got, in the first sort of 2 weeks, we got 60 inquiries.
Yeah.
And that was just, we've seen your advert, we know where the piece of land is, we know where the plot is. Can you give us a little bit more information? So we've got a list already. We've not actually opened yet, but we've got a list already of 60 to 100 different inquiries. Now, obviously, some of them will fall off because they need storage there and then, but people know about us, so they know that we're coming to the area.
Like you said, you've now gone into indoor storage. Like, what would you say would be your top key indicators that a self-storage operator should look into before expanding into new areas?
To have a stabilised business, once our sites are mature, they're filled out with units, so we can't physically get any more units on there. And then we want to be at a constant 85 to 90%. In my opinion, nobody should ever be 100% full. Yeah. Because you should always have that premium rooms that you can sell for way above asking price if needed be. So that's the tip I'd give anybody, is make sure that you've got a consistent 90%, 85, 90% full, and then you can start looking with expanding. So whether that's double stacking, which some people have started doing, which we're exploring, or finding a new piece of land in a similar sort of area, similar demographic.
As the industry evolves, have you noticed any trends in the self-storage industry? Have you noticed any changes?
There's a lot more. So I started 12 years ago now. And I started in indoor self-storage. And then halfway through my storage career, moved over to container storage. Now, a lot's changed, and a lot of more people are trying it. Some are doing things the right way. Some are just people that have got a spare bit of land, and fair play to them. If they can make money off a piece of land that's not working the other way, put some units on and see how it goes.
Finally, what's next for Storebox?
So we're at 15 sites now. Before the end of the year, we'll be at 17, and that'll be with an additional brownfield site and another acquisition. And then going through 2024, we'll be looking again at both ways to grow the sites. So acquisitions of existing storage companies and also pieces of land that we can utilise and make good into the Storebox standard.
So that's all the questions. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us on Chatterbox.
Yeah, that's no problem. It's always a pleasure.
Chatterbox was brought to you by Cleveland Containers, the UK's leading supplier of new and used shipping containers and the largest supplier to the container self-storage market. If you're looking to enter the self-storage industry or streamline and expand your current site, talk to us about Box Plus, our one-stop service that can provide you with everything you need to set up and run a simple, remotely operated and profitable self-storage business. For more information, head to clevelandcontainers.co.uk and follow us on social media for more content on all things shipping containers and self-storage.